Nearby me in Asakusa, there are 3 restaurants that serve food, and each day there's a huge line in front of them. My task today is to see if you should line up to those restaurants as well, or any restaurant for that matter that has a line, because Japan does love lines, and sometimes it feels like people line up for the sake of lining up rather than getting something good out of it. So the restaurants in question are Asakusa Gyukatsu, Bazoku Asakusa Ramen, and Unagi Irokawa. And because of my handicap of living close to them, I can choose the perfect time when there's no people lining outside to enjoy it without any waiting. Except for the very first restaurant that I visited yesterday. This place has almost 8,000 reviews on Google Maps, which is kind of crazy because usually places here have around 200 reviews. If it's above 1,000, that means like it's highly touristy. So this is a pretty hot spot. And especially considering that the score that they have is 4.7 stars and almost 8,000 reviews, it means the food has to be great as well. And as you can see, I couldn't even get a front shot of it when compared to other places because even late at night, there's still a line in front of it. Facts. We stayed in line for only 30 minutes, but that's because Eden, my friend who wanted us to eat at that restaurant, showed up 20 minutes before that. So in total it was like around 1 hour in a line. As for the food, they only have one thing to order, but in 3 separate sizes. And I went for the medium. So this is a traditional tonkatsu restaurant where you get to cook your own meat, which was really dope. I really like these things where you can like put your hand in and do stuff yourself. But it's not as intense as Korean barbecue where you just have a huge ass grill in front of you and have to cook all tons of different meat. Food quality? Great. Same as the price, which was 2,400 yen? I think. In this case, I'd say it was worth it, but only because I waited for 30 minutes and with a friend. But otherwise, if you're alone with nobody to talk to, it can be quite mundane, and I don't know if I would do it myself. The second restaurant I visited alone in the morning today, and even though there was nobody lined up front, I still had to wait outside for 10 minutes, so I was the start of the line in this case. This is an unagi restaurant with over 600 reviews. So one of the smaller ones, considering today's restaurant choices. But at all times, it has a line in front of it, though it closed at 2 p.m, so it's not really open for the longest. I've never had unagi before, which is eel, and I can say that this feels like the most authentic Japanese place and food you'll get. It looked run down, but in a caring way. The Oba-san was cooking on an open fire stove, and it felt like if I stayed there for an hour longer, I'd get carbon monoxide poisoning. But in a good way. It felt like being teleported to the Japanese countryside if it wasn't for the insane lines that you have to wait for in the beginning. But this kind of also made me realize that I'm not the biggest fan of unagi. While I don't doubt I got like the best quality because it like melted in my mouth, the tastes were great, it just overall tasted like cooked fish. Not bad, just nothing really special. In this case, for me, waiting in line definitely wouldn't have been worth it. Especially considering that the regular, which I got, was 3,400 yen. But I can see how people who like unagi or want to try it out would be interested. Though also there are more unagi restaurants around that don't have a line, so I'm not sure. Maybe this is actually the best place, so that's why there's a line. I don't know. But a third one is an authentic ramen shop. I see the owner or the chef tossing around the dough all the time, and I'm curious to trying it out. But instead of ramen, I'm gonna go with the thing that the Trash Taste boys have been shouting out incessantly. Tsukamen, which is technically ramen, but the broth and the noodles are separated from each other. And honestly, if there's one food that has been kind of meat for me in Japan this far, it's ramen. It really hasn't blown me away or even been like above average. I feel like rest of the world has kind of caught up with ramen, so I'm good on that end. But going late at like 8 p.m, there was still a line in front of it. So I think I missed the good time, because I know that around 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. there's no line outside. But in the morning there's like an hour-long line, and I think when I went it was like a 20-minute line. And after sitting down quite quickly, I got my tsukamen, which was only 800 yen, and it was a bit of a letdown, because it just felt like ramen with extra steps, you know, instead of it being combined, you had to combine it yourself. I'm sad to say, it just didn't feel anything that special. I'm sorry, I feel disappointed in myself, you know, that I'm not more excited about it. Overall, the food was good, but I wouldn't really wait for more than 15 minutes for it. So, is waiting worth it? Short answer, no. If you're on limited time in Japan and food isn't priority, don't waste an hour waiting around to eat for an hour instead of doing touristy things. Like, for me, Even something like McDonald's is good enough. Just quickly get yourself fueled up and then go and explore Tokyo. But even if you want to get some sort of a taste experience, you don't need to go with fast food. You still have restaurants with like 0 lines in front of it where you get like authentic Japanese food. Except for the weekends. Do not visit any food places or just any places on the weekend. They're full, they're insane, just don't. But long and convoluted answer is, waiting in line could be worth it. If you care for the food or some specific foods that you want to have and aren't on a limited time, like you care about food itself, then those places that I named in the video or even other places could be good for you. At least one time to try it out. As for me, I'm probably not waiting in line for food again, unless it's for content, because God, I sure love that. So, I'll see you tomorrow in another vlog. See you then. Bye bye.